Hi, this is Josh Lojack at Privateer Network. We are going to show you guys how to break in a new pair of boots, and also we're going to be removing the metal tips and doing some work on the fronts. For quad guys, this will give you more room, and for motocross or woods riders, it'll shorten the boot up and give you less chance of twisting a knee. So here we go, I guess, right? Alright, what we're going to need for this is a couple materials. We're going to need a hot glue gun. I barely could find that with the camouflage. Oh, okay. We're going to need glue sticks, a small Phillips screwdriver, a container to keep the hardware in, and some kind of oil. Just about anything will work. You want a penetrant and then like a motor or a hydraulic oil, and we'll also be using a bench grinder. First thing you're going to want to do is make sure the boot's clean. Once you get the boot cleaned and dried off, the first thing we're going to do is we take off the tip. Not all boots have the steel fasteners at the front, the tip, but what we're going to do is we're going to remove that, and we're going to clean up the front of the sole to shorten the boot and make it more manageable. So you'll take your screwdriver. There's about 7 screws in there. You take your screws out, and then after you take all your screws out, put it in your container, save them. You might need them later after we're done with this. So, okay, whenever you're done. Alright, after you're done taking the tips off the boots, I put them in a container, and you want to save these till a later date, because what we're going to do, grind in the front of the boot, if you get too close to the stitching, it can peel apart later. So if you save these, if it starts coming apart, then you can put these back on. It'll hold it back together. Okay, now you can see the front of this boot, how messed up it comes behind the tip we took off. We're going to just turn this down a little bit with the bench grinder. You don't want to go too deep where you're going to cut into the threads, or it's going to start peeling the sole off. So we're going to get onto the bench grinder now. Alright, and you want to make sure if you're young, you got permission to use the bench grinder, and you should always wear eye protection, like I do. Again, you want to be careful not to cut into the stitches while you're doing it. Alright, these are the boots after the grinding process is done. Now, like I said, you don't want to catch a stitch. I did catch a stitch on that one, on the right one, but we're going to show you how you can fix that too. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is cut the stitch off where it's hanging way out, so it don't get all caught up in the hot glue. Next thing we're going to do is start taking the hot glue gun and running a bead around the front of the boot. And I sort of just keep working it in. There is a few things that you will need that I didn't tell you at the beginning, because that's how I roll, you know. So I didn't mention we're going to need, I keep black paint handy for this to paint the hot glue after I'm done, and some sandpaper to even it out before I paint it. So, okay, now you're going to want to sand all the high and rough edges of the boot here where you glued it. Get that glue nice and even. You want to use a sort of a finer grit sandpaper so it ain't tearing the glue up and making it real rough, because we're trying to make it smooth to look like factory, you know, because it's all about looking factory. Use that. You want something that's going to stick to plastic for the paint, you know what I mean? And then I just touch it up. After I touch it up, I come in right at the end and sort of try to clean it, blend it in so it looks natural, like it comes from the factory that way. And you can't tell the difference between that boot on the front or a Tech 7. Look at that. Isn't that something? I tell you. Alright, now we're going to start the breaking in process with the boot here. What I do is I like to pour the oil and work it in the parts of the boot where it flexes. Like you're going to come up from the heel towards the base of your leg, where your foot meets the front of your leg, you know what I mean? So we're going to come on an angle this way through the boot and oil both sides. And then there's always the plastic part here that sort of keeps you from catching that on the instep on the boot. So what we're going to do is really work here. This is already soft, but we're going to work through here and all the way around that. That's soft, but we want to make sure the transition from this material to this material is going to be soft too. And another thing I do is once I get some oil worked into the boot, I'll put something that's solid inside the boot and use a hammer to beat the leather to try to soften it up, same as people do with ball gloves. Oil we're going to use to work into the boots, and then what we'll do is we'll work the oil in after we work it in. What I always do with boots is I'll either wear them around the house or whatever that day for about 8 hours, you know, to help break them in, because new boots, you know how it is, it's hard to get to the brake pedal and it's not real safe. So, or even when I was in school, I would oil them down, soak them down, work it in, and then wear them to school the next day. The people looked at me like I had issues, but we ain't gonna get into that right now, so we'll talk about that another time. All I do is same as like a ball glove or anything else. One thing for sure I don't use is like mink oil. Mink oil softens them up too much for me, anyways. I mean, other people might be into that, but I just start working oil in, just same as a ball glove, you know. And you work it into the parts of the boot where it flexes. The other parts you don't want to get soft. You know, a boot's stiff to protect you. So the only parts we want to work the oil into are the parts that are gonna fold and move.
Do it again.
What?
I don't like it.
up some now. Alright, that's good.